Lads, we are back. The playoffs have begun.
We are back. It's the best. It's the best time of the year. I mean, we're starting a month late, but that's okay.
The pandas have arisen.
The what?
The pandas.
The panda. What? Oh,
Why
because
the
there's panda in my
The
back.
panda, but also didn't they call Craig Anderson Panda as well?
Did they?
Yeah.
I always thought that belonged to Robin Leonard.
Maybe it's an Ottawa thing.
Maybe.
They are
Maybe it
native to
is.
Ottawa.
Are they actually?
No, they're not. Pandas are not. No, they are. This is not China.
You can tell my geology skills are just off the charts.
You sure you're not thinking of I don't know. There's there a zoo near Ottawa that had those pandas there for a stint. I don't know.
Did you guys know Steve Dangle worked at the zoo?
No.
No, not even a remote idea of that.
Oh, I love that became a thing. And then he tweeted out recently that they were offering vaccines at the zoo.
Mm-hmm. I would love to, you know how there are special places where people can get the reception, the ceremony for their marriages.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever get married, I want to get married at the zoo. With
Really?
You probably can.
With the rhinos in the background. So that'd be
cool.
sick.
Why the rhinos though?
Why specifically rhinos?
Yeah.
Because they're cool.
Okay, fair.
Doesn't have to, giraffes will do.
Oh,
Not the dire wolves.
Not Grey Wind and Shaggy. Is it Shaggy Dog? Ghost.
How about penguins though?
Lady. Yeah, but the penguin enclosure is kind of weird. It's not a great backdrop.
That's true.
But still, who doesn't love the zoo?
I haven't gone in a while. We should have a 2-on-1 podcast goes to the zoo vlog.
I'm totally down for that.
But we have to take the tour.
Yeah, we'll take the tour.
Only if Steve Dangle does the tour, though.
Special crossover event this summer.
We asked the person on the what is it? The motorcade.
It's
hey, did you know Steve Dangle used to have this job?
Yeah, and they probably we always get questions about it.
We should bring the book and take a picture with that person.
You're do you know this guy, Steve?
Okay,
anyway.
We'll add that to the list. We'll do a vlog for that when it's safe to do so.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Lockdown got extended in Ontario for a little longer, so that's a shame. A lot of mentions about blaming Trudeau, but how Doug Ford. Oh, Doug, come on now. You just can't even listen to him talk without thinking, man, just stop it. Just come on now.
It's come on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
how about our two most important political figures stop bickering each other like children on the playgrounds and that'd be really nice.
It started so well in March 2020. And then it's just deteriorated over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was that glimmer now where it's kind of subsided to.
Yeah, three waves later though.
I'm disappointed, but why did I have my expectations higher than they should have been?
You know what
That's
city
a good
never
point.
had a third wave?
Stop it.
Montreal. I'm just saying the curfew works.
Don't brag about it.
They were strict with the curfews the first time.
Oh, well, strict restrictions and committing to it actually might help you a little bit.
You doing it properly.
Yeah,
Right.
that's weird how that works, isn't it?
Remember when we opened up for 2 weeks in March? Remember that?
Yeah, I got to get my hair cut, and that was about it.
Yeah. All right then. Well then, guys. You know what must be, obviously we can't do a lot right now in the world. But what I imagine must be super difficult?
Tell me.
Being rich. Because don't the rich always have so many problems in their lives? So
Usually.
the Sens can't now listen, this is far from the worst thing that's ever happened to the Senators. It's not even really anything. So Eugene Melnyk, who is the Sens owner, the siren is coming because they're not happy. The siren's on their way to, oh no, some kids aren't social distancing at the park and all that. Oh no, what a shame. So Sens owner Eugene Melnyk, his girlfriend Sherilyn Anderson, and his mother Vera have a lawsuit against a charter super yacht company. I believe the company's name is Burgess, and the suit is for a trip in the Bahamas that Melnyk and his sort of family went to for the Christmas and New Year's holiday. Vera and Anderson are each seeking $5 million US, and they are claiming negligence, false imprisonment, an intentional infliction of emotional distress. One of the quotes from this is, an odorous, ill-tempered man who was curt and dismissive with the guests and outright anger and abusive to his crew, referring to the captain of the vessel. Apparently, there was some heat from the start of this cruise when apparently Eugene Melnick, and first off, him and his girlfriend apparently planned to spend 5 days together before being joined by their guests for the New Year's time. Really, that was his mother and friends. This is, again, past Christmas. Apparently, this was all within guidelines because it was in the Bahamas. Whatever. It's a weird thing. Eugene doesn't even live in Canada. It's a weird thing.
Right.
I always forget that.
So apparently, during this, Eugene wanted them to have a sort of like close to the edge, like a very close and inland sort of path is what you'd call it. Apparently, it was between the island of Andros and an archipelago. And Eugene was, being him and say, we have to go through this route. But apparently they couldn't because the boat, or I should say yacht, super yacht, wasn't big enough to go through. I feel like we're mentioning this because, the Sens, every year it feels like whenever the Sens have a good year. I don't think you can deny they have a good year. But there's always something with Eugene. This isn't him threatening to sell the team. I mean, like, technically, none of this has anything to do with him himself, but it's just another sort of example. And, like, if you read the article about this, it seems like maybe it's all a bit blown over, a bit overblown, but I just don't know why Eugene cannot just stay out of the public for 1 year, like a calendar year.
They were so close. This is the second time in 3 years where the Senators went an entire calendar year without having to deal with something that their owner did. This year, it's obviously this. Last year was the pandemic, so there wasn't really much for Eugene to do that would be in the news. And then 2 years ago, I think he fired, I don't remember his name, but the CEO, and he had just hired him 2 months earlier.
Yeah. And then he basically, didn't he go out and like publicly like ripped apart Eugene Melnick? Or he did it privately and that's what got him fired.
Yeah.
Apparently there was rumors that he swore and that's what got him fired.
Oh. Yeah, it's definitely it's just weird because on their last game against the Leafs, they were talking about how, the future is bright. They had a lot of emphasis on Josh Norris, on Tim Stützle, like everything that's been going on there and how things were going. And then you get off the ice and then these things happen again where it's something like Ottawa can't have nice things, that there's always that cloud around them.
Was it Jim Little?
Yes.
That's old CEO, by the way. It's just the noise, and also I just love this whole and this other idea of like, it's such a terrible look that he went on a super yacht in the Bahamas, while here in Ontario it was like, hey guys, can you not go see your families because COVID? It's just such a disconnect. I think it's such a joke. Again. Like if you look at it, apparently like the family left a note thanking like everyone on this the ship, the super yacht, which is $500,000 to stay on a week, by the way. I just want to mention I was looking at that specific boat, but I think it's called the Dream. Beautiful. Absolutely, it's incredible to look at.
If it's $500,000 a week, right? 500, it better be beautiful.
Yeah, and it's like they were saying like intentionally garbage conditions, and like the company came out and said like, listen, like it's the ocean. You can't really control that. You ever watch Pirates of the Caribbean, man? Like crazy weather, whirlpool and stuff. I'm joking.
It's
obviously.
the cost to be super. That's the realistic thing now. Now we know what it means.
I love it's like, hey, my $500,000 at least trip is ruined because I couldn't go a certain route in the Bahamas. Oh no, I have to go across the clear ocean river. Oh, there are some dolphins. Oh no, this isn't good enough. I want a great view of the beach. I want $10 million if you didn't do it right.
It's like, it's it's so unfortunate because they like Daniel was saying, like the future is bright, but no matter what, it seems like something's always gonna just float right over this. Like just it might start raining. It might start raining on top of this organization. It's happened multiple times.
There's some sort of joke to be made of the not going the route that Eugene wanted on the ship, the super yacht, and the path going away from getting a downtown arena. There's a joke there, but I'm not clever enough to make it. The Sens, though, they are a weird team. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. There's not a lot to talk about today.
We're just enjoying each other's company.
Yeah, so
that's the most important.
I don't think
the
we'd
four
be
of us
talking
here
about Eugene if this was being recorded like tomorrow, because we have 4 playoff games today.
Yes, but did you hear what I said? There's 4 of us here.
Yeah.
Who's the 4th person?
It's Panda.
Oh, the Panda.
Actually, Adam, there's only 3 playoff games today and a game at 10:30 that nobody will watch.
Oh, is that the 10:30 game?
Yes.
Oh no. Okay. Well, it was so weird because yesterday the playoffs begun. Washington and Boston had such a fun game. Like it was honestly great. We got some overtime back and forth. A good story with Craig Anderson. We'll get to that later. But it was just, and then earlier in the day, it was just a complete mess because it's the Vancouver Canucks playing. And you're like, who cares? I think it was them and the Oilers. I think the Oilers lost, but who cares? And you're just thinking, man, what is this schedule that you have a playoff game and a regular season game in the same day, one of which is just a complete mess? And, there's been a lot of mess surrounding the Canucks for a couple years now. And this year, Elliot Friedman used the term crisis of consumer confidence on NHL headlines last night. We're going to get to a Tyler Toffoli Players Tribune article, a really, really good piece where he talked about signing in Montreal. There's a snippet about Vancouver we'll talk about a little later when we get to him. But first, as reported again on headlines, Elliot Friedman, things locally for the Canucks, as we know, are not amazing right now. And that's the crisis of consumer confidence. And maybe that has ownership looking to maybe change some things. And apparently the Canucks are looking at bringing in Jeff Courtnall. If you've never heard of him, I don't blame you. He was a former Canuck. His career ended post-concussion syndrome, unfortunately. They're looking to bring him in for an advisor role. Apparently, a couple of years ago when Trevor Linden was pushed out of the organization, he almost came on board. And I was reading an Ian McIntyre article, Sportsnet, controversial guy. But anyway, in this article, he mentioned that Courtnall and Francesco Aquilini, who is, of the Aquilini family, he's like the chairman of the Canucks and all that type of stuff, right? Apparently, they're longtime friends. And Courtnall was part of a small group that recommended the Canucks take a chance on Mike Gillis back in 2008. However, it is eyebrow-raising that such a figure is being brought in to the fold while Jim Benning needs a new contract in. Hello?
Yeah.
I was shocked from what you just said.
Oh, you were trying to put it together. It's like you pulled a new Charizard card from a Pokemon pack. You were like, wow, the Canucks, what's going on?
Are you talking about the McDonald's Charizard packs?
No.
Do they even have those? I don't know.
No. The Canucks, though.
It can't get worse, can it?
See, you know what I was thinking of is they need to figure out what they're doing very quickly because they have 2 very important contracts that we have never stopped talking about that are due very, very soon. And those contracts will very much dictate what the rest of their roster and what their cap is going to look. Well, no, that's already determined because they have no cap space. But they need to figure out what the next sort of plan for this team is and who will be running it. And they need to figure it out very quickly.
Well, it seems like they have a plan. I keep hearing that they have this money allotted for Pettersson and Hughes, that this is potentially going around. It's like $15 million, I think, for both of them. Then let's get her done. What are we? I know they don't want to. Was it Pettersson or Hughes who switched agents?
I
want to say it was Hughes that switched to Pettersson.
Either way, yeah, they're both in the same agency. Let's get these things done. I'm very confused at why we didn't hear they at least tried last year. And of course, why would you talk mid-season considering the season that they're having? But like not that like it's COVID and it really did. Their season was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
You're right though. They need to pick. Is it Jim Benning? Because you can't be in a situation where Jim Benning is negotiating these contracts and then you decide, well, we're done with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna go well.
It reminds me of the Peter Chiarelli with the Mikko Koskinen contract.
I had that same feeling though. I don't think you can actually go wrong with these contracts. So maybe on turn, depending on how they go the UFA years or kind of like what that looks like. Though I mean, like, I don't think you can really overpay these guys. Like, you would have to really mess up doing comparable contracts and that to really screw the pooch on these contracts for
Right.
those with Henderson. Yeah, I think that would be impressive on its own if you somehow lost those deals.
Oh my god!
Like exciting young centerman and like the perfect sort of new age defenseman, right-handed. Like, come on.
They're dissatisfied with the compensation they've been given, and they don't want to be on the team anymore.
It's not fault.
I know. I'm comparing the NHL 21.
Then it's just a matter of like signing those guys and then realizing, well, okay, I guess we're filling the bottom six with all guys who make league min.
Call Seattle and say, what do you want from me? How do you take one of these contracts? Whether it's Louis Eriksson, whether it's any of them, what do I need to do for you to give me a hand here? Because listen, that money is going to go. There's no money for a supporting cast there. We know that. Or there's no room for an effective supportive cast. And that's going to hold the Canucks back. Even if when we go back to the Pacific Division, and we'll talk about the schedule in a second here, because it's apparently going back to complete normal, which is a shame. I don't see them making any sort of damage, even if it's a wild card spot. I mean, you're not gonna win with just pure top end talent. You need the depth. We've talked about this before.
Right.
You're not going to go anywhere with it.
I just went to their cap friendly page. They have $15.8 million in projected cap space going into for next year. So that they have Pettersson and Hughes to sign. They also have to re-sign Alex Edler. They have to, if they're going to re-sign him, which means if they don't, they still have to fill these roster spots.
And let's just say, for the argument's sake, let's say both of them are $6.5 million. Mm-hmm. It's 13 right there.
You imagine if they didn't sign the Tanner Pearson contract. Little wiggle room there.
Yeah. We ripped them. I mean, listen, there's a carousel of, imagine the Canucks didn't sign this deal. Right. Also should mention, so the NHL is going back to its previous. Actually, no, God damn it, Adam, because the term "run out of time" was a famous quote of Jim Benning. That will be his legacy, that quote of "we ran out of time."
Jimothy
talking
Benning,
about the Canucks losing a bunch of free agents over the summer. Probably the biggest blunder there, because I think people looked at the Markstrom deal and said they couldn't match that. Plus, they had Demko. Look how good he's been, and how good that deal is. Some credit there. Good deal there. You know what? Tanev was probably going to be anchored in the deal by the end of it anyway. That was probably a smart move. But the biggest mistake was definitely Tyler Toffoli. Now, we can get to the exact article in a second because I really do think it deserves some time. So Tyler Toffoli put a thing of this article talking about him signing in Montreal in the Players Tribune. And in it, there's a little snippet when he talks about Vancouver and, the game he scored a hat trick on them and the guys talking to him. And he's like, I loved it there. I loved the guys. But he mentions that the thing with Vancouver is they never made him an offer. So you ran out of time, but you
didn't even try.
You didn't, could you not have just, anything? Just, you could have, even if you were, because at the time I think they were still kind of figuring out the RFA up with Jake Virtanen. Oh boy, hindsight there. But could you not have just at least said, you know what, Tyler? Because I think they did say, can you hold on to him? But could you not have just said, this is the framework of the deal we're thinking of here? But no,
try to work something.
Yeah,
this is horrible.
Know what Jim Benning did there?
What did he do?
He missed 100% of the shots he did not take.
Exactly.
Tyler Toffoli.
Exactly.
And the same thing happened with Stetcher too. I mean,
that's the thing. Like we've talked about, there's credit due with Jim Benning in certain areas with things where we look at that forward core and you have a Vasily Podkolzin coming in. You have a Niels Höglander where he has really kind of played above his pay grade, paid above what we really thought he was going to be coming to North America. And even still, where all these things are there, like we've mentioned this before too, where they got unlucky. Brock Besser in the draft, Adam Gaudette getting him really late.
Rosen fell to them because he had the KHL contract.
Yeah, and it's just weird that when we talk about having that plan in place, it wasn't even about bringing in those pieces where he was already kind of given to you. Where in like hindsight now, they lost assets on the Toffoli deal, but if they were able to keep him, then that would have been a steal, I think.
It's fair to say you would have let Jake Virtanen go if you can keep Tyler Toffoli. Like that's
especially
more,
now,
that's
yes.
more than fair. Well, I mean,
Even
yeah,
back then. Even back
especially now.
Yeah.
But I think even back then, because when Toffoli with the Kings was good, but I think he looked different in Vancouver. He looked better in Vancouver, maybe because you're actually playing him playing him next to higher skill players, and that usually makes a player better in many cases. I would have still paid what he's 4.25, right? I would have taken that, like, to see no offense to Tanner Pearson, but to see him get 3.25 and then say, well, we let Tyler Toffoli walk for $1 million more. Well, actually, we didn't even give him an offer.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned it a lot before where I think about the Jake Virtanen deal and I'm talking about just on ice production right now. And I think it's just the Jim Benning circling back to the fact that he got it wrong in 2014. He shouldn't have gotten him 6th overall. And it's still that thing where it's like, okay, he's not a prospect. We've maybe rushed him a bit. Maybe we didn't really place him in a one place to really develop. And I think it's just that part of it where it's like, we can't just let go to that.
Last season it was, that shortened season, it looked like there was something with Virtanen. But so you always knew what you were going to get with Tyler Toffoli. The guy has been goal scoring beauty. And we had Harman Dial talk about like what Pedersen was able to do and give the space to Tyler Toffoli. That's what helped him so much. And again, like you look at what Tyler Toffoli has been doing in Montreal, and you know what, the lines, as we know, have been so mixed up there. Imagine what he would have been able to do in the full season with Pedersen. Like I don't like going back and saying 6th overall, like back in that day. Like listen, did he miss on something like that? That was the same as Nylander and Ehlers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Man, I don't know how many people were saying he wasn't going to go top 10, but it's even just what he's been the past couple of years. We know too that there were trade rumors throughout the year. This season, there was just asset management is probably going to be on Jim Benning's, like that's going to be like the sort of headline that I'm sure Thomas Strantz and Harman Dahl right now are thinking of. All right, guys, what are we doing here? What's the headline? The carousel of mismanagement, or I don't know, Jim Benning.
Yeah, it's a Daniel. You made a good point there, like in Benning maybe not wanting to move off of Virtanen, and I look at what happened in Calgary with Sam Bennett. It felt like he was going to be on the move for multiple years. It seems like maybe he wasn't necessarily on the trade block, but they'd be willing, but it'd have to be at a price. And they did eventually trade Sam Bennett. But the reality was that was Brad Treliving's first year as a general manager and his first draft. And it seems like he was able to get off of Sam Bennett. Will Jim Benning be able to do the same? Maybe is the question.
Mm-hmm. The Canucks, always fun to talk about in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not for the fans, but for everyone else.
There was so much hope for them. Like, I don't know. It's funny to me that we're talking about this a year, like compared to what we talked about a year ago when there was so much hope for them in the play-in round. There was so much hope for them going into the playoffs, and just I think we all talked about it where it just there's that excitement again with the Canucks and what they've been able to do, and then they just botched it in the offseason.
Stop me if you heard it before. And then, now next year, I'm just getting the divisions back up for, what normally the Western, so the Pacific Division looks like. And that's, what, they may sneak in because it's Vegas, which, okay, they're going to win the division. That's pretty great. There's Vancouver. They still have the talent. Maybe they'll sneak in. And I mean like the top three right now. San Jose and LA. LA won't be bad for long, but what the hell is San Jose right now? Edmonton will probably be in there. Who knows what that's going to happen with the Flames? And then Anaheim. But then you look at the Central for the entirety, for like a wild card, maybe spillover here. You still have Winnipeg. Yep. You still have St. Louis.
Yep.
You still have Minnesota. Dallas might actually be healthy next year. Who knows with Nashville? Colorado, Chicago are getting better, but then Arizona. I mean,
who knows what happens to Seattle?
Yeah, Seattle. Who knows? I mean, they'll have Jake Allen and they'll have Chris Drieger, and I mean, goaltending man will do a lot for you. And look at Vegas; they exactly. Matt Dumbo will be there. I bet.
Exactly.
That's a good team.
Are they making the finals in the first year?
No,
probably not.
Because they'd have to get past Colorado or Vegas. And I'm sure Vegas would be like, listen, this is our story, buddy. Get out of here. Can you imagine first round Vegas, Seattle, by the way?
Oh, that would be...
That'd be a treat for the longtime fans.
Bettman's just sitting there, rubbing his hands together like...
I remember seeing a tweet where it's like, oh, you're a Kraken fan? Name 2 players.
How much longer till we can do another preview of that?
That's a good question.
We can do it
like volume 2, volume 3, and so on.
All the trades are done now. Like free agency's after the expansion draft, is it not? So we should be good to actually go ahead and sort of look at maybe what all of that does. Maybe we do that sometime after the playoffs when there's that lull period, because after today's show, it's going to be a lot of playoff talk. Lot of playoff talk.
Yeah,
probably.
The playoffs are always huge, but so are the Olympics, and head coaching speculation's already begun. Canada, apparently, so far, this is reported on headlines, by the way. Let's see, what am I doing? First off, we should probably talk about the fact, the NHL are apparently going back to the previous schedule. The one we always have, the one that's been in place for God knows how long. We all hate it. We're going back to apparently the top 3 in the division in the wild card. It's really disappointing because I was really excited to go back 1 to 8. I was really excited to maybe, like, if they were altering the schedule and there was those, we talked about there's going to be those games to the side, the makeup games, and you can add some rivalries in that. And they just messed it up. Typical NHL, they're afraid to take some risks.
See, I don't know about what your first impression was when you saw it as they were talking about it. I wasn't even surprised per se, because it's like, I'm like, oh man, we'll get a different schedule or something like that, something new, something interesting. And then it's like, well, we're going back to normal. Okay, cool.
Chris Johnson looked a little upset. He was like,
he was so excited. He felt like he just felt the passion, and then it just kind of dipped as he said it. I'm like, so close.
The wild card is, I don't care about having crappy second round matches, like how we should have Washington, Pittsburgh in the conference finals up the second round. I just don't like seeing teams missing the playoffs. 1 through 8, the Rangers make it this year.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I don't like is that the divisions. I don't think we've actually had to this day a conference 1 through 8. It hasn't happened yet where a team has ended up missing when they should make it. We had it with the 1 to 4 in the divisions, but I think you can excuse it because COVID, travel stuff, all that with Canada's borders and that. But just going back, I think you had a real chance to try something new, and you're going to have ESPN. You could have sort of taken a bit of a dive here. Go up the second. You know how at like a lot of swimming pools they have like the public ones, they have the normal like ground level jumping board. Then it goes, and there's the super one that in every cartoon you ever watch, the main character is afraid to jump off of it.
And then when he jumps in it, all the water disappears.
It's a paradigm shift.
Yeah, like that's what the NHL could have done. They didn't have to go to the top. They didn't have to get completely nuts and go 116. But they could have gone to the middle one, made a big splash, and maybe gone, you know what, guys, we're going to go back to 1 through 8, and we're going to mess with our schedule a bit and go a bit nuts.
Would you do the 1 to 8 and keep the 2 divisions, or would you go back to the way they did it before with the 3 divisions and
That's interesting.
and then the top team in each division gets an automatic spot?
I don't like teams getting buys at all. I think I had it in my 31 team. Everyone know. I had it when I did my 30 team. Everyone makes except Detroit
Oh yeah.
playoff preview. But like that was like you had to try something for the bubble. I don't like teams having buys. I think that happens in football, and I think like even the MLB have their wild card stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it, but like just do 1 through 8 for each conference. If you want division, I don't like. Do you really need them? Like,
No.
do we seriously need the divisions?
Not necessarily. I guess it's more for dividing up games. I don't know. Like
I guess to set the schedule. I don't know. Something
it's
like
yeah,
that.
it's easier to set your schedule, I guess, is the way they would look at it. But I feel like you can find a way around that. It's not that difficult.
No, not at all. Okay, and going back to the Olympics. So, reported on headlines. John Cooper looks to be one of the first guys that Team Canada are looking at. The States possibly looking at Peter Laviolette in Washington and Mike Sullivan in Pittsburgh. And boy, is that Mike Sullivan wouldn't have been my first guess or my second or maybe my third. He would have been up there eventually. But he just feels like such a Team USA hire. Not to mention, I don't know if Brian Burke has been confirmed to work with Team USA, but I know he has like every single time in the past.
The Ron Wilson connection. Remember that?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, Sully, but I like Sully. He's he works with Sid, and who knows is going to know how to beat Sid other than the guy who coaches Sid.
I think Steve Sullivan. He would be an interesting choice in my opinion because apparently the way he is just he's very crash with things. Like I remember when he would yell at Malkin and Crosby on the bench just to kind of like get them going or to really balance out things because like he is a guy where he talked about too like there's that accountability aspect, whether like not John Tortorella level, but the accountability aspect of the veterans and the young guys. And I think that's what Team USA is now, that they don't have the Mike Badanos, they don't have the Brett Halls, they don't have the Bill Guerians or anything. Like it's an exciting young team.
Yeah.
Bill Guerin, good guy.
Yeah.
Is it Bill Guerin? Sorry, is that who is the head? Right? That's what they said.
For Team USA?
Yeah.
For the GM?
He's a part of it, is he not?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I think you're right in terms of Team USA. Like I feel like they're going through that phase where next time around, or in less than a year, 6 months, pretty much, you're bringing in the Eichels, you're bringing in the Matthews.
Justin Abdelkader. He's
playing in the Worlds.
Justin Abdelkader.
He's playing in the Worlds. Are you excited, guys?
Is he?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, sorry, go on, Alex. Yeah, that next gen's looking good.
Right, like you're bringing in that next gen, and I feel like Bill Guerin, like you were using Bill Guerin as an example here, is if he's a part of it, that's I guess would be a great person to mesh that all together, and then bringing in a coach who can do that. And I think Pittsburgh, like you brought up Sullivan, I think Pittsburgh is a good example of that. They still have Malkin, they still have Crosby, but the way they're structured in a way is they're going to have to fill those bottom roles with younger or depth pieces. I mean, we've seen it. Like think about how many random guys we see on the Penguins and they magically work.
Yeah. So Guerin is the AGM.
Yes.
I forgot.
Assistant to the GM.
Yeah. Sorry. Who else did you say, Dana? Do you remember who the GM is?
I do not remember who the GM is.
I don't blame
I just started mentioning those USA guys that always played for the US, and then suddenly it's like, oh,
no. You knew Guerin was AGM. Just go with it.
I knew.
Oh, it's yeah.
Which I listen. Like, Blackhawks.
You know what?
Yeah.
All right.
He's redeemed himself a bit the last 2 years.
Patrick Kane. Kane and Matthews.
Is he the captain? Patrick Kane? Is Zach Parise the captain? I'm kidding. He's not even playing
I
today.
mean, I
John
think
Gibson.
Kane deserves it,
Yeah.
but I think they would probably. I wouldn't be surprised if they gave it to Austin.
I have
Could
a
you
question.
imagine if it's Matthews, McDavid as captains for the next Olympic team? You would. I would. If Crosby's on the team, and you don't give it to him. I think it's so much disrespect.
That's like 1998.
What happened in '98?
So that
Years
team.
before I was born, Daniel. Don't.
Okay, that what? Okay, but that was the year that the professionals could go for the first time. So they had like Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, Steve Yzerman, Brendan Shanahan, all on that team, and they gave the captaincy to Eric Lindros
That's terrible.
because
That's
Bobby
not-
Clark was the GM of the Canadian
Of
team.
course he was. Yeah. Listen, and also John Cooper. Canada are gonna have some options. Okay.
Not Mike Babcock.
You have Quinville. You got Barry. You got options.
You do.
I think I picked Barry Trotz for mine. What was I gonna ask? Oh, this was the question. I always had this weird thing with me. Whenever I watch the Worlds or the Olympics, if a player is not the captain of his current team, should he be a captain of the international team?
Yes.
Yeah, why
doesn't
not?
matter.
Because it really bothered me that even though I love him, Corey Perry was captain of the Worlds, even though I think at the time wasn't even wearing an A for Anaheim. Or Zach Parise was captain of the Olympic team in 2014 for the US, even though it was Mikko Koivu who was the captain of the Wild.
Doesn't matter.
Usually they do cross over though. Do
Okay.
they not?
Or even like Datsuk, he was captain of Russia. I remember that.
It doesn't. It doesn't matter. It really does
If you're a
not.
leader, you're a leader, I guess. Like
Yeah.
that's how I would
Okay.
think
Listen,
about it.
do you really need letters for the Olympics? I mean, I would. It is pretty Disney movie-ish to have Sid stand up in the going into OT in 2010. Being like, listen, boys, this is it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna go somewhere with that, but I
this is
think
it? No. Wait, he had the A in Vancouver.
greatness is born from opportunities. And this
I
is
remember people at the time were like, what's the matter? Because everyone's like, oh, Crosby should have been captain in Vancouver. But I was so happy when Scott Niedermayer was named captain.
there's a bit of bias there.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, why does everyone pick Crosby? I'm like, people don't understand.
They don't. Okay. The playoffs have begun.
Yes.
We're recording this as the Islanders in Pittsburgh are playing game one.
Kyle Palmieri opened up the scoring.
It is it is 1-1, by the way.
Mhm.
Frederick
see.
Goudreau.
Frederick Goudreau. Is it Marcus Friedman? Is he playing today?
Well, Mark, is
I
it
don't
Mark
know.
Mark Friedman, right?
Mark Friedman? Or maybe I'm thinking of Freeberg. Anyway,
No, I believe it's Mark Friedman.
I hope he gets a massive goal, and just Elliot's gonna be the first one to get on that.
He gets a
Though-
turtleneck for it.
Stop it. I Mechanics made it cool first. I hate like half of Sportsnet seem to think they own the turtleneck when Mechanics has been rocking it since the mid 2000s. No respect.
Who else
No
had
respect at
Did anyone
all.
else have the turtleneck? No,
No.
it was just him.
Yeah, maybe Wayne, but who cares?
It was like a Mikko Koivu thing. I don't know. Why.
No, it wasn't. Who cares if it's Koivu? He's the other Koivu.
The other Koivu.
The other, even though it may have been better than Saku. Well, Saku had more flair, I think.
Saku was more of a leader.
Yes, it was. It was like, man, if you're mentioned like as a captain there with Jean Beliveau, I think you were doing something right. Again, watch him coming back from cancer. That is the most beloved habit of all time. Hopefully, you did not just hear my mom yell at the dog.
A little bit.
Okay.
I can't speak on Saku, but for me, Mikko Koivu was very
Quiet.
he was close. Like he wasn't not. I don't want to say he wasn't open, but he wasn't very. He was a leader, but he was a quiet leader. The way that John Tavares is a leader, he's a quiet leader. Is that?
I don't even know what he sounds like.
On Tavares?
No, I know it's Tavares sounds like. I don't know what Miku Koivu.
I don't either. That's where I got that impression from.
Yeah, is plus Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's they've always talked about like how impressive it is that he was the guy when you had the personalities of Parise and Suter. like these big guys with these big tickets coming in, and they're supposed to be the next generation or
The homeboys.
the guys who would lead you out of, hometown. They're going to lead everyone to the promised lands, and we saw how that went.
Fun fact, they've passed the first round twice since 2003.
Will they do it this year? Probably not. Anyway.
I don't know. I'm conflicted.
Dude, they're not beating Vegas.
I don't know. Dom actually wrote an article recently for The Athletic, and it's pretty promising when you really kind of look at things. We're like, yeah, for sure, no way. Like, by their skill alone, Mark Stone and Max Pacioretty have made Chandler Stevenson a legitimate top 6 forward. He actually compared it that it was identical that he replaced the production of Paul Stastny. But then it's just as you go lower on the team, it's like the depth isn't there, but like Minnesota is showing it. Like they fleeced Colorado for Ian Cole.
I might have had Minnesota I think I had Vegas in 6 or 7 because I legit think that there is some zest. But I just, if Vegas lose in the first round to Minnie, I don't know. Is that reminiscing of when Vegas won in their first year? Is it the storybook for Minnesota led by Kirill the Thrill?
It's funny because like when they asked Bill Guerin about this, Michael Russo interviewed him recently about it, and it's just funny with Bill Guerin. Every single time there's like a milestone made, he's like, "Yeah, that's great to hear, but we're not satisfied. This is not what we came like. We didn't start this year to win Rookie of the Year. We didn't start this year to just make the playoffs."
Well, we will discuss more about Minnesota when they play a game. But we should talk about yesterday, Washington and Boston game 1. The bad guy, Tom Wilson, opens up the scoring, the first man to score in these playoffs, and I freaking love it. Big story, Vanacek gets hurt in the first period. Kelly Hrudey did not have a good take about that, by the way. I thought that was very, very bad. Unfair to the team that this kid got hurt.
I didn't even hear it happen. Obviously, you guys know I barely have the volume on during the game, more because I'm 30 seconds behind, but that's a different story. But yeah, that was not a great take. That's pretty bad.
But as a result, Craig Anderson, who will be 40 years old, the Magic. I was texting a buddy of mine, guy named Owen, big Caps fan. And he was telling me
Owen Power,
not Owen. No, Owen Doucette, great guy, really great guy. Used to play Mario Party with him back in the day. Great guy.
Will you play with us?
No. Wait, what? Will I play Mario Party with you guys?
The 2-in-1 podcast. Mario Party.
Anything I need to say to you so we can talk about this series. Craig Anderson will turn 40. When he went in, I texted my buddy and I said, "Listen, old man Anderson's he's gonna create some zest. He's always had magic. He came in. I hate motorcycles. When he came in for Andrew Hammond in Game 4, when he took over the net against the Habs in 2015, Habs were up 3-0. Anderson gave them a fighting chance. He just has that ability. And again, 2017, when they went to the conference final, period away from the finals,
almost beat Crosby.
Almost beat Sid, and it was Chris Kunitz with the worst goal I've ever seen in a conference final who got it past him. He has it, man. He has it. And I think he's played a handful of games this year because he's been their third goalie. Now, I don't know if he gets game 2 because Samsonov was back on the ice today, but Craig Anderson's so
That'd be a great story. I don't know. Even it is a great story already that after everything's kind of gone through, everything that he had to step away from the game because of his wife and her cancer treatment, and
yes,
the fact that the will to keep on playing. I know that it is a bit bittersweet because that should have been Henrik Lundqvist's spot.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take it for what it was, and I like to see that Craig Anderson, who is a late bloomer, he was a university guy. He was someone that really bounced around before he went to Ottawa. That he finally is reemerging 4 years later in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's funny. He might have been better than Matt Murray.
Oh.
I feel bad about that. I feel really bad about that. Did you guys see the goal that was disallowed for Boston when Craig Anderson very clearly, whether he was nudged, I think he was nudged by his own player.
Yeah.
Was it Chara?
I don't know. I don't remember who it was, but he was nudged in and then he kind of fell back. It was
That goal very much should have counted. I think the Bruins did get a bit nicked
Are the
there,
double agent?
but we take those.
Yeah.
We take those.
I don't know. It was difficult.
No, it wasn't. If your own player pushes you in, like that's 100% a goal.
Yeah, but if the net is off, the net is off, the plays should technically be called dead.
That should at least be a penalty or something.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I thought it was a penalty.
Should have been a warning.
I was very surprised that it wasn't, especially because it was his own player.
It should have been a penalty shot. Who was it? Daniel, you would know. You're an older time hockey fan. Who was the goalie that did that? You think he plays for the Islanders, and he would just turn around and push the net over for the penalty shot. I think he stopped it. He did it in the minors too.
What?
I
know what you're
can't
talking
remember
about.
his name, but you guys know what I mean.
I'll go
right?
find.
Anders
I'll go
Nielsen.
I'll go find it.
But it was the thing. This guy, a goalie, he used to just when there was like a 2-on-0 or a breakaway or something, he would just turn around and he would push over the net. Because if a penalty shot, the pressure is immense for a shooter, right? A 2-on-1, it's like you've got some support, like you can outweight the goalie. Unless you're like Dotsuk or UC Jokinen, like you can beat a guy 1-on-1. But it's a strategy for goaltenders, I guess, especially if it's like a 2-on-0.
I found it. It's David Leggio.
David Leggio.
I would not know
This was in
that one,
2014-15. He was playing with the Bridgeport Sound Tigers.
Yes.
What a Leggio did.
I'm pretty sure he does a radio show too. Man, the history of the Islanders organization and weird goaltenders, that is hilarious stuff.
Like our boy Yan Denis. I remember that.
Jan Denis, like Saint-Denis.
That is what I thought.
Habs legend.
Denis, no, really, Jan Denis is not. Stop it.
I thought I remember. Okay, so we've mentioned this so many times. I probably mentioned this. This is like my third time mentioning this on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember Pierre Maguire for TSN's like, what were the Habs thinking drafting Carey Price? They have Cristobal Huet for years to come, and Yan Denis just waiting in the minors.
That is honestly the worst take I think he's ever had. Is the Carey Price stuff. Like when you look at all these years later.
Because he said
honestly his worst. And not to mention he said the off the reservation comment that apparently he didn't mean to make it because Carey Price he has indigenous, I think his mom was I've mentioned this before. So it made it sound like an incredibly racist comment. Especially looking at it today, but apparently it was a terrible football coach but in that sense, you got to think about that type of question. It was a terrible take. And it's not like, no, I'm not going to, this is for the show when Carey Price retires and we do a retrospect but it's a bad one. I think we can say the top three Pierre Maguire goofs are probably the Carey Price stuff. From the World Juniors. What's his third one? Like the Phil Kessel stuff.
I can't remember it.
I forgot it was for a female reporter, and I remember when they were supposed to be color commentating, and then he just sounded like he was trying to explain everything to her.
Was it Hillary Knight?
I think so. Yeah.
I thought it was Kendall Coyne Schofield.
It might have been Kendall Coyne Schofield.
I just remember that. I'm like, this is so difficult to watch.
No, listen, we should also say Pierre Maguire is an extremely successful. He's clearly respected because he keeps getting GM interviews too. He's accomplished more than we have.
Yeah,
probably will accomplish more than we will. Who knows? But he seems like a great guy. Even I think Kendall Coyne said afterwards, no, we're cool. It was everything. It's just the way he comes across sometimes is a bit like Pierre. Please.
I don't know where this one ranks. It should be up there though. When he was coach of or assistant coach of Hartford, and he says, well, we need to score a goal every 5 minutes. and then he goes, they score a goal quicker, and he goes, well, we're ahead of schedule.
I remember Dmitry Filipovich tweeted something out 2 weeks ago where it was a Pierre Maguire quote where he says, that's who he is, Ryan O'Reilly. He's a player, he gets on the ice, and he plays hockey.
Listen, Pierre Maguire. Listen, long career, successful career,
Mm.
good guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a great guy and knows more trivia than I think he's higher than Jeff Merrick in the hockey trivia stuff.
Probably.
That's how much he knows about hockey. It's incredible. Anyway, like if you ask him, all right, what was the first time Sidney Crosby had a 4.9 in the QMJHL? He'd know.
Yeah.
He would just somehow know. Okay. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
Yeah, I just one thing from that game I really noticed, and I don't know if you guys noticed it as well. It was Alex Ovechkin.
Oh, he was a monster.
It felt like he was on a different level than the regular season, and even in seasons past, I would say, like, it was just the energy he was putting out there was a lot different, and it feels like what came out from the bubble last year is now pushing him and probably the rest of the team to prove a lot of people wrong, whether they'd admit that or not.
Yeah, I agree. It's just from last year where they had that lazy narrative that he had the championship already, that he wasn't gonna push anymore, and the amount of things that have happened to this team in the last year, when it came to the COVID thing, when it came to, another Evgeny Kuznetsov headline, to really the Tom Wilson stuff, that this is a team that has to succeed, that they want to move beyond really just is what would be a year just full of controversy, full of these, puff piece headlines kind of things, where it just, I think that competitive Ovi that we've seen in the past, where it was never really gone. I think it's just more apparent now because he's really showing that he wants to lead this team. Because I remember when they were talking, and I forget, is it Kelly McCrimmon, where they talk about, like, it's all about just winning the games now. It's not we'll talk about the extension when we talk about the extension. And I think that's just the mentality I think Ovi has right now, of just going all in.
I thought he was going to be hurt, and maybe there'd be a bit of questions around it. No, that hit he had in the first period, I was just like, all right, Ovechkin's here. And it looked like he had that tip last night. Unfortunately, I think Orlov ended up having it anyway. God, he's good. Not to mention, like, the Caps just have so many good, useful pieces. And the thing, I don't know what it was with Boston last night, but they just didn't seem quite as on it as I'd like them to be. I don't know how long that's going to last because it's fucking Boston. Rask was sharp too. You love to see that. And how, like, magical is it, by the way, in that, Nick Ritchie gets one. Good guy. Daniel, you've talked about him reviving his career. Nick Dow tips the Oshie shot. He's never scored in the play, or he's never scored like a winning goal before in the playoffs. He gets one. And not to mention, here it is. Crosby just gave the Islanders a tip. God, they got the lead. His high IQ. I mean, his hand-eye. God, I love the playoffs.
Jake DeBrusk,
yeah, riding pine all year, as Mike said, and here he is on the scoring sheet. It's just a different game in all the best kind of way. There were a few kind of meh calls, like this is one against the Capitals last night, but we accept that with playoff hockey. Well, we don't accept it, but we get mad at it. And I'm sure we will have many conversations like that.
This is going to be a weird series for us to analyze, I think.
The Capitals and just the pure hatred, it's nastiness in the series?
Yeah, that is just kind of like we all have that uneasiness with the Bruins, and then the Capitals, we talk about that we love Ovi, we like John Carlson, and then it's like, oh, Tom Wilson.
Who, like, I think both these series, whoever comes out, and like both, meaning the Washington, Boston, Pittsburgh, New York, they're both going to be a very physical series, and they're going to be bruised and battered coming out of their individual series, whoever does come out of them.
I think that'll make them stronger, though.
Yeah.
Are you saying what doesn't kill them?
Makes them stronger. Na, 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 na. I always get, like, every year we're kind of like, man, there's this one division, and when someone comes out of it, they're going to be dead tired. And it never happens. What I always think gets teams, and I think this is something that could really actually hurt Nashville now that I was thinking about this, is the team that squeaks in, and they are just fighting down the stretch. Like they're grinding to get in, and by the time they get there, they have no energy. Like I think New Jersey was kind of like that a few years ago. It happened to Winnipeg. Those are the teams I worry about. Those are the teams, especially like Dallas and Nashville was that last kind of race. I do wonder that. But playoffs, it will be fun. So
what are your predictions today, by the way, guys?
So hold on, who is playing? I know Florida's playing.
Minnesota and Las Vegas at 3 p.m.
Yum 3 p.m. I love that.
I'm
Tampa
so divided.
Florida at 7:30.
Okay. I'm gonna say everyone surprises Vegas because apparently their games, Mini and Vegas, have been really good all year. I haven't watched a lot of American.
Minnesota won the series against them for the year.
I think Mini surprised them game one. I'll say that.
I'll say 2-1 in overtime.
2-1 who?
Minnesota in overtime.
Who gets the goal?
Kirill the Thrill.
Alex, how you going Vegas Mini?
I think Vegas is going to take game one.
Okay. I'm going to go Vegas because, man, just because I think the Wild players, some of them have to get used to that first sort of splash and feeling of playoff hockey that not a lot of them have had yet. So, we'll see if, that's the time when Parisi and Steeler can sort of rally the boys. I don't think it's going to be an easy start to the game. And I have
a healthy scratch today.
Is he?
Yeah.
But he can still be around the team. Like there's the nerves in that, right?
Yeah.
I like on the ice. I'm not Parise is not really anymore. If he goes out and scores a goal, I wouldn't be surprised. But I have a nasty feeling that Reeves is going to score one goal in the playoffs, and it's going to be tonight or this afternoon. I just have that sort of feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Tampa and Florida. This is the big one, I think, today. This is the big one.
Not the one at 10:30?
No, I don't care about the Flames.
You're not staying up for that one?
I just want to ask. No. I'm not staying up for that one. I'm going to go with Florida. I think Florida is going to take game one. I think it's going to take Kucherov and Stamkos as well a little bit of time to get going. But I think they do come back, obviously, as my prediction says, they win the series. But I think Florida will take game one.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Florida right now are still working as a unit, that they've, without Aaron Ekblad, they still have found consistency. And I think the game will be 3-2 Florida in regulation.
I'm thinking, I have Florida winning the series. I'm going to stick with that. I think Tampa taking one. Just because I have that feeling that this is going to be an uphill battle for Florida. Same thing as Minnesota. They don't have any playoffs. Like, when's the last time the Panthers won a round?
1996, I think.
No, they.
Yeah, I'm not lying, because they had that weird stretch where they didn't make the playoffs from 1996 until 2012.
So, and listen, you got a good coach for it, and Stroman's pretty all right to have. I feel like it's going to get them a little time to get used to it. But I think they need to win, especially also Bobrovsky starting apparently, because why not? Get nuts, maybe, and maybe this is when they realize, all right, maybe we should play our other good goalies. I don't care if it's Drieger or Knight, just do someone.
Devin Levi.
Yeah, just emergency call up. Come on, Devin.
I can't believe it. 1996. I didn't realize it was that long.
I thought maybe they had a 2010 thing in there somewhere for some reason.
No, because they kept having lottery picks. If you look back on that,
they made it in 2012 and in 2016, but they didn't. They lost in the in the first
both
round.
In the first round.
2016 must have been the Tavares OT goal, right?
Yeah, I believe so. 2012 was the Devils. That was when they went to the finals.
Yeah. Okay, I believe. Well, anyway, it's the Panthers. They need some zest. I still think they're going to win the series. Though.
The last time they won a series was went to the finals against your best friend.
My best friend?
Yes. against your best friend in the finals
I
in 1996.
I don't know who my best friend in 1996 is.
Patrick Waugh.
Oh, wow. I mean, he wasn't my friend by then. He's already gone.
Mm-hmm.
Walked out on the team. Cold take. Keep me in for 11 goals. I'll show you. God, that's always a baffling thing to look at. Why the frick did you keep him in for 11 goals? Like, what an idiot Tremblay was back in the day. Can't wait for Waugh to get hired, and Tremblay just will not stop ripping him in NAS. That's going to be amazing.
We're going to talk about the op-ed he writes.
Want to talk about how Ducharme's dumb?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's go.
I'll talk about how, like, first off, I should mention, Tyler Toffoli had a wicked article for the Players Tribune. Like, wicked art. I thought it was amazing. I love that end bit of, like, was I born to be a Hab? Kid being in Scarborough, no, but I was meant to be. Shivers. Absolute shivers. And the way he talked about Cole Caulfield, I was like, man, this is what I want in my life. This is great. Okay, so Dominic
everything
Ducharme,
you wanted.
Yeah, he is. Freaking 28 goals in the shortened season. He's great. And just staple him to a single centerman and see what happens. Man, that second line, I like Armia, but man, could you imagine if like Cole Caulfield was on there? Or like anyone else? That'd be pretty sick. So the way that lines have been going, and it was the same today, even though Ducharme said that might be a different day tomorrow because he's a damn liar.
Does he also take things day by day?
Ducharme? Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, he takes things he takes it shift by shift, and he's like, I don't like this anymore. So practicing on the fifth line is Mikar Frolik. You're like, yeah, sure, that works. Okay, don't mind him. Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Cole Caulfield. Fifth line, which means they're not dressing first game of the playoffs. In favor, you're not taking Paul Byron out. You're not taking Lehkonen out. You're not taking Jake Evans out. That line has been good to end the season, and those are your hardest working players. You're not getting rid of them. You're not breaking up the Dano line. Gallagher's we're going. Shea Weber might be like dead. Something's wrong with him, but he'll be back. I just don't understand the logic of having Eric Stahl in. Somebody's like, hey, so you know how Caulfield scores goals? He's like, we need experience. I'm sure it would have helped against Philly if you had some experienced players. They were him and Suzuki were your best players in the playoffs last year. What are you doing? You don't score goals, and you have a guy, since he joined the team, is tied for leading goals with Toffoli. Since Caulfield joined the team, him and Toffoli had 4 goals each. And you're not playing him. I can't wait till it's like game 2 is when he starts putting him in, but he's already lost his job back then. Honestly, if he goes into game 1 and doesn't play those guys and they lose the series, he can't come back. Like, at least, like, you want to complain about Marlowe being out there in the last minute. At least Matthews was dressed for a game. He can't complain about ice time if the guy doesn't play. I don't understand it at all. I do not understand it at all.
I don't see how he still has a job next year.
I know I can't either. It's ridiculous.
And I think you said you brought up something important. Like, the team needs scoring. There is leadership, or there's leadership, but there's also you need the scoring. And I think you put those, like you said, Kotkaniemi played very well against Philadelphia last year, and why can't I remember who they played in the play-in? Pittsburgh. He played. He played very well against them. Again, like, you need scoring. I get the experience thing, but I don't think Montreal's necessarily in a situation where it's like, okay, we can take out some scoring to put in leadership. It's like, no, like, that's not what you have on the ice in terms of leadership is fine, but don't just start throwing things on there unnecessarily.
I don't get how you have a third line. Like, it's like, what was it? Josh Anderson, who I saw people ripping his point totals this year. He has 17 goals. Shut up. I don't get how you have him with Corey Perry, who I actually think does have a spot because it's Corey Perry. And I don't mean this is MVP Corey. I just think what he does in the playoffs and how big he was for Dallas, like, I think he has a spot. But putting Anderson with Perry and Anderson why do you put Stahl there? Like, yeah, Anderson's fast in a straight line. He's wicked quick, but by the time he gets there, like, I think those are, with him and Perry, you need to have a dynamic young centerman. And then the second power play unit is like Armia working the left half wall, Stahl's in front. It's like, wow, a left-handed playmaker and a right-handed shot all of a sudden makes that look really, really good. I just don't know how you do it. I think the only time Eric Stahl may have scored all year is his overtime winner, and I can't remember what the second one was. I don't get it. It's out of my head of like, you can't be serious that this is it. Now there's still time for Thursday, but it's beyond me. I mean, forget experience. You beat the Penguins without having any experience down the middle. You had to know shutting down Sid. You can try and do that with Matthews. And then you need the rest of your lineup to score. A centerman needs to get it's beyond belief with this dude. Well, you have so many exciting young players, and it's just like, hey there, we're not going to use them. I just don't think especially when you're against a team like the Leafs, who are like bread and butter for scoring, how you're like, hey, we're going to get rid of our best player who can probably match that scoring. Like, we have something coming up. Either it's going to be in this episode, or probably Wednesdays at the time of it. When we're asking some people what they think about this series, and one of them, Joe Caulfield's probably going to have 3 goals in the series because he can just do what he wants. Like, and then you just think, no, we're not going to use that option. We're not going to use this guy who has gotten these game-winning goals. What is just been so good. He has so much chemistry with Nick Suzuki, but so you want to put Yoel Armia up there? Is that what you want to do? Who's just been consistent and hurt over the past few years? I don't know what you're trying to do here. I don't know the plan. It's Leafs in 3 if you ice this lineup.
It's like a safe lineup. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think it's a safe lineup.
Like safe lineup in a way where it's like this has kind of worked before.
It's a safety blanket.
That's
a coach's
lineup. It's like, I don't want to throw this guy out there.
But I don't. If the way you're describing it, Adam, and you would know better than me, you're saying if you ice this lineup that Leafs in 3, I don't see that as a safety blanket. I see that as him not doing his job properly.
No, a safety blanket is in how typical is it that a coach throws in an experienced vet over a young, exciting player because they don't have the trust. Like,
Sure.
Victor Mete had a really interesting line the other day when he's like, I can see that I have trust here and I'm not afraid to make a mistake and get cut. It was like, you can't have young players be afraid to fail. They need to play their game. You need to have trust in them as a coach. And clearly the way things are going, Dom Ducharme is not the coach that they need.
No, because he can't make a decision.
No, he can't stick with anything.
Like that's the entire thing. Like, he can't stick to something. I mean, how many times have we had this discussion? You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. I think that's got to be everything.
There's a couple things. Because Keith is talking now.
Okay.
So there's no more goalie controversy, guys. Jack Campbell is starting on Thursday.
That's good. Anything else?
And Riley Nash is playing his first game on Thursday. That's
not Steve.
Is he
Not
fourth
Steve.
line?
Or Kevin.
What's the bottom 6 looking like?
The lineup that I saw last time, I think Mike sent it as well, is so Hyman is with Matthews and Marner, Foligno with Tavares and Nylander, Kerfoot, Nash, Mikheyev, Thornton, Spezza, and Simmons.
That's not bad.
That is the oldest fourth line, but that's fine. I'll take it.
They could surprise.
They could. Who knows? Let's see what happens.
Did you guys know with this goal, Sidney Crosby ties Brett Hall for 7th place on the NHL's all-time playoff points list with 190?
I did.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Good to know. Okay.
Oh, we didn't say Islanders here. I think the Penguins take the Islanders 4-2 tonight.
You can't say that when Pittsburgh are winning 2-1 and about to go on there on the penalty kill. 4 minutes.
I thought it at the beginning of the episode. I just didn't say anything.
I always forget Jeff Carter is a Penguin, by the way. It's like,
Jeff Carter?
yeah, and he just took a double minor. The fool. Okay.
But you didn't say it like Mike says it.
Javkada?
because I don't want to. Do I look like I'm from that place? I'm not
New
from Boston.
Jersey? Oh, Boston.
I'm from another country, my friend. And I've grown up from another country that is not the state where Boston is located.
What?
I'm not going to. I don't like. See, here's the thing. I don't like when people who are not from a specific region kind of like change the way they say things. Just to like, it's like, I don't know. It really bothers me. Like when I
Because of
speak
the New York
French,
accent.
like when I speak French, I'm not purposely putting on. It's like I'm just saying bonjour. I'm not saying like bonjour, like I'm not putting on the
Only
accent.
Mike does that.
Like yeah, he does 100%. I'm not gonna if I say something because I watch it, like when I'm like being like, oh, this anime, here's this character, and they have a Japanese name. I'm not just gonna try and sound like I am Japanese. I'm gonna pronounce it the way I naturally speak. That's just the way accents are. Like it's really weird to me when people are like, yo, I'm Mike, and I'm gonna sound like the most Italian guy ever. We're calling Mike out. I want him on the show, and I want to fight him
It's gonna be
over a nice fresh cut gabagool.
it's gonna be a very interesting week and a half or so.
Oh, what? Because of the Leafs have series?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just want to get series. That's not it. I want the Habs to crush the Leafs. I don't think I'm not going to, but
I just want everyone to have fun.
You know what?
Sound like my grandmother.
They don't take a stand, man. I know you're always the neutral one, but take a stand.
I just hope both of them can advance.
Damn
it's a
it.
three-way game with the winner of Edmonton Winnipeg.
Huh.
That's how we're gonna go here. By the way, you gotta love everyone saying, "Hey, yo, the Jets' defense are bad and they're not gonna win a game." It's like, man,
Never
stop it.
underestimate Dylan DeMello.
I have the Jets winning. I'm confident. I'm confident in it. They could be down 3-0 and I'll still be confident in it. Maybe not at that point, but we'll see. Okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Now that's everything.
Yeah. Do you guys want to do this? I'm tired. You know what? Here. Okay. Is my mic still on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you to VoiceSet as always being a fantastic platform for the show. Good episode of the show. Podcast. Love to see it. Who do you think is going to win the cup? If it's Colorado, don't even say it because we all know it's going to be Colorado.
Minnesota.
I almost answered the question. I thought you were asking us.
Well, check out all the show's social media, especially the TikTok. We're doing the TikTok. Facebook too, even though we don't use it. Anyway, next time we see you, playoff games are going to happen. We still won't have game one of Leafs Habs because the NHL can't schedule anything. Check out my YouTube channel, Alex's blog, Daniel's stuff for the Hockey Writers and the Eye Opener. Do we still say that even though you're done school?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
So
It's there.
They're not
Please
taking
read
it
it.
down anytime soon.
Yeah.
no.
Check out my thing for the sports issue as well then.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think that's everything.
I believe so.
Panda.